Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast on the Mike Francesa channel, on the Bet Rivers Network, on YouTube, on this Monday morning as we get ready to preview the Knicks and Celtics and wrap up a lot of other stuff from the weekend. We'll get to the baseball, we'll get to the Derby, we'll get to the other NBA series, all that. I know there was some thrilling stuff in hockey too. Hey, unfortunately, not having especially the Rangers in it hurts as far as attention here. But as we know, every year the Stanley Cup playoffs are just tremendous. They really are, and these comebacks that we've seen in the Wild play we've seen in the playoff shows you that year after year after year. But this is about the Knicks and the Celtics predominantly. The series begins this evening. The Celtics are overwhelming favorites, as they should be. I saw 11 predictions. All of them were for the Celtics. Not surprising. If you lined up 50 predictions, I'd say somewhere around 45 or 46 probably would have been for the Celtics. They deserve to be the favorites. The Knicks have not proven themselves against better teams this year. They have not proven themselves against the Celtics. They don't match up very well with the Celtics. Obviously, there's a lot of issues here, and it would be a big win. But here's the thing. It's the second week in May. You're into the real heart now of the NBA playoffs, and the Knicks are here. That's the positive. The Garden will be alive. And when the Garden's alive for a May night, there's nothing better. Nothing better in New York ever. Baseball in October, absolutely. A big playoff game if you can remember harken back to when the football teams actually produced such things. Nothing like it. But it doesn't get any better than a May night in the second or third round, this time the second round of the NBA playoffs, and then add in the added intensity and excitement of a Knicks Celtics series, even if it is one where the Celtics are somewhere between a 7 and 8-1 favorite to win the series, and expected to finish the Knicks off in less than 7 games. Now, game 1 tonight, game 2 Wednesday in Boston. The times have been announced now. Saturday's game at the Garden, and I think the weekend games are great for the kids. They don't have the same intensity that the night games have for a variety of reasons, most of them being that it's an adult crowd on a weeknight. It's a 99% crowd coming from work for the most part, and the intensity in the Garden is that much greater for a weeknight game. But you got Saturdays at 3:30, and then Monday, game 4, which will either be the Knicks trying to stay alive or a pivotal game if it's 2-1 anybody. That will be 7:30 next Monday night. If you're looking ahead, then you can figure every 2 days after that, finish the series. But the bottom line is the 2 games about right now are Saturday, 3:30 at the Garden, and Monday night, 7:30 at the Garden. Game 1 tonight, both teams have called themselves healthy, which means that Holiday's back for the Celtics. That makes them a quality 9-deep team. And that's problem number 1. If the Knicks are going to do anything in this series, they are going to have to do 2 things, which they haven't shown a propensity for doing often enough this year. Number 1, they are going to have to get something out of the bench. It is without question. The Celtics go 9 deep. They go 9 quality deep. In that they have size, they have shooters, and they can integrate really any one of those guys. Whether you're talking about Pritchard, who has become a very big weapon for them, or Hauser, or going to the size with Cornette, obviously Horford, Holiday, and then Porzingis, White, and the big two with Tatum and Brown. They make it very tough on the Knicks because the Celtics know exactly what they want to do. They want to shoot threes. They want to force you into allowing them to shoot threes. And the more unchecked threes they get, the more they're going to hit. The game they lost to Orlando, they were 8 for 32 from three. It's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. They are going to try to put up 43s, and they're going to try to make 15 of them. And when they do, they're going to win. That's the bottom line. They have individual talent, obviously exceptional individual talent. Now, I'm not the biggest Tatum fan in the world, but he's a good player. He's a guy who's a borderline in and out, year in, year out. He's a borderline all NBA player. Is he the best player in the league? No. Is he a really good player? Yes. I don't love his game, but is he good? Yes. I've never been the biggest Brown fan, but Brown is a very effective player. And then you have Porzingis. And Porzingis can kill you in a variety of ways, and that includes going out and knocking down 5 or 6 threes. They got guys who can not only make threes, they got guys who can go out and make 7 and 8 threes in a game like White. You got guys who can come off the bench and make 3 and 4 threes like Pritchard and Hauser. Horford, you know he can make threes. Every one of these guys can make threes, which is why they're who they are. And they will try very, very hard, and they've been ultimately very successful at it in making Towns commit defensively and also bringing Brunson's defender into the action. You know how much pick and roll they're going to run. You know what they're going to do off pick and roll. You know who they're going to designate as their corner open shooters. You know exactly what the Celtics are going to do. If the Knicks are going to cause some problems in this series, I think they have to accentuate two things. Bridges in the open floor, which you saw some of in the Detroit series, but not nearly enough. And you see him flourish when he goes to the open floor. He becomes a very vital offensive weapon when he goes to the open floor, not standing around watching from the corner for 12 and 15 minutes at a time. And he had a lot of big baskets. He had 2 big threes in game 5. He had absolutely a huge putback at 113 after a Brunson miss that was vital in their comeback. And what Brunson said, he didn't say it because it was his Villanova teammate. He said it because it was true. He said, we're not here without Bridges. And you're not. Towns is going to get his shots, although he is erratic in how he performs. OG, they have to remember that he's there and to utilize what he does. Hart will get his own. Okay, Hart, you don't run anything for. He's a guy who scores intermittently, hustles, we know, all the time, but he gets his own. Gets it by beating the other team down the floor, gets it off the offensive glass, gets it with a cut here or there. Don't worry about where he gets his points from. The other 4 guys, you do have to worry. You have to bring the wings into this offense. This can't be just Brunson and Towns, and it can't be Brunson bouncing the ball for 20 seconds and then trying to see if he can draw a foul or get somebody off balance. That cannot be their offense. That will not carry the day. They have got to keep Bridges and OG involved in this offensively, especially Bridges. The other thing is they are going to have to, whether they like it or not, and they don't like it. The coach doesn't like it. They have to utilize the bench in this series. They cannot do this with 5 guys. It's not going to work. Robinson becomes a very big key, and you know what? He subtly makes some huge plays the way he changes shots, or the fact that Bridges got to the rim because they were worried about Robinson on that key putback. He is gonna kill you on the foul line. He's not gonna help you a lot offensively, but what he can give you in terms of rim protection and rebounding is imperative, and they have got to utilize other bodies off the bench and believe a little bit in their commitment. Otherwise, it's not gonna work playing these starters 45 minutes against a 9-man or at least a solid, very solid, given the night, 8-man rotation for the Celtics. And if Holiday's there, it's gonna go 9 deep, but maybe one night if somebody's out of the mix and it's an 8-man rotation that night, well, that's fine. You know they're going to be at least 8 deep every single night. And not only that, those guys contribute. They have games where they score. That's the thing. That's the thing that has to be taken into account with the Celtics. They are going to have guys who are going to help and are going to make a difference. If you go to Pritchard, okay, he's had 1, 2, 3, 4 times already in the postseason had double digits. Some games he might not score. Another game he might get 14. One game he got 19. Okay? The bottom line is they have guys who are going to come in the game and make a difference. Hauser comes in the last game, gets 2 big threes, gets 10 points. Those guys can come off and contribute. The Knicks cannot do this with 5 guys. They cannot. And they can play size when they have to too. The last game, Cornette came off and got 9 points and 4 rebounds. And obviously, we know about what else they have and what White brings and what Porzingis brings. And you're gonna deal with Tatum. Listen, Tatum's gonna get his points, you know that. That goes without saying. It's like Brunson's gonna get his points, Tatum's gonna get his points. All right? Tatum's averaging 30 points in the playoff games. He's gonna get his points. Brown's gonna get 20, Tatum's gonna get high 20s to 30. The question is, how many threes are they going to make? How many are they gonna shoot? And how many good threes are they going to get? Against the Knicks, they got 1,000,000 during the season. It's a tough matchup any way you slice it, but he has got to give the bench a chance in this series. If he tries to go it alone with 5 guys, it's not going to work. He's gotta have some kind of belief in the bench, and that means beyond Robinson. We know what they're gonna do. We know what they're gonna do in the fourth quarter. We understand the ball in a tight game, the fourth quarter is gonna go through Brunson every single play. We understand that. We've learned to live with that. Does he have an ability to score late and score in clutch spots? Absolutely. He has a great, great understanding of angles, of space, of what will work and what won't work. And he is absolutely fearless. But remember, that quarter, he missed 9 shots in a row at one point, which is one of the reasons why it went from a Knick 11-point lead to the Knicks being down 9. If they're gonna be relying on one guy, he better make shots. And you don't wanna go into the fourth quarter and be reliant because the Knicks are at their best when they are moving the basketball and when they are pushing the basketball. This team is better on the move, and it's better when it runs. It gets bogged down in its offense, and it gets bogged down in watching Brunson play in way too many situations. And teams are gonna go into varying different ways of going about that. The bottom line is late in close playoff games, it's about being able to make a shot. Absolutely. But a lot goes into that. And a lot goes into getting you into those last 2 minutes of that game that way. It's one thing to be there, but you got to get there too. And that takes more than one guy to do that. And the Knicks have to be conscious of not letting their offense completely bog down. They are not a great defensive team. They are at their best when they turn you over. I mean, OG and Bridges are big time quality defenders. And if you saw the numbers on the 85 possessions that in the series that Bridges had CC as the primary defender, look at how poor his numbers were. It stood out how poor they were. Those are the subtleties that get lost in what they're doing. But they have got to accentuate Bridges in the open floor because otherwise he gets lost in the offense completely at too many times. And you can't ask these guys to make a big shot in the fourth quarter if they haven't touched the ball, if the wings haven't touched the ball in 10 minutes of playing time. And that goes on with this team. In game 5, OG was hot. He didn't touch the ball for a quarter, even though he was by far their most efficient offensive player in the game. And we understand in the fourth quarter what the Knicks want to do. But to me, one guy taking 16 shots in the fourth quarter is more than you want. It's very hard for that to be efficient. And Bridges had 25 points in game 6 on 16 shots. He had 40 points and the game winner off a terrific move. I didn't buy that he pushed him, the defender. I thought he did a great job with his footwork and his dribble to free himself. I thought he did a beautiful job there, and it was a great play. But he scored 40 points on 33 shots. That's an outrageous number of shots. Brunson had Bridges had 25 points on 16 shots. Now, you know Brunson's always going to get to the foul line, which is going to be something that every opposing coach, is on the officials about because everyone in the league doesn't like the way he draws fouls. And if I was a defender against him, I wouldn't like the way he draws fouls either because he takes a lot of dives. If you don't think Brunson takes a lot of dives, then you're not watching the game. He is trying to do whatever he can do to get to the foul line, which is understandable. But the Knicks are going to have to utilize their full talents to have any chance in this series. They are going to have to play the 3 well. They are going to have to get a reasonable defensive series out of Brunson and Tatum. They're going to have to be surer on defense and better on defense than they usually are. They're going to have to be. Otherwise, it's not going to work. The Celtics are going to kill them. And they're on the floor for major minutes. They're on the floor the whole game, and they will take those two apart. They will take Towns and put him in the pick and roll every single time. And they will make Brunson be active by making sure they target what they're doing with him. This offense knows exactly how to run that stuff to get themselves the open threes they want. And remember, they have size. They can play big, they can play smaller. They have a bunch of different guys who can all hurt you from the perimeter. You can get multiple threes out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of their players can make multiple threes in the game. That's ridiculous. 8, not 1 or 2, 8. Which is why you can have a game where they hoist up 45 and make 20 or make 17. And then you've got a lot of work to do to be efficient on the other end if you're going to have them make 17 out of 50 or 17 out of 48, threes. It's hard to make that up. And if they have a 50% game from three and they're shooting those kind of numbers, you're not beating them. When they shoot 16 for 35 and 13 for 24 from three, you're not beating them. So what happened last night? I mean, that game was obvious. Now, Cleveland, I'm surprised because I have a tremendous respect for their coach. I was very surprised. Now, they had had a week off, and they really had been in cruise control throughout the whole Miami series, especially when they're up early in the series. And then they win game 3 by 37 points and game 4 by 55 points. So those days were just as good as being off. So they had a lot of time off, and it showed. They came out in game 1 last night, and they were not ready. They got hit early by Indiana, and they finally get their nose in front by 1 point in the fourth quarter. And what happens? Indiana runs off a big 15-4 run, takes back control of the game. And last night, Indiana goes 19 for 36 from three. Now, they can do that. You know what kind of shooting team they are. Last night, they get 5 for 6, 2 for 6, 2 for 5, 4 for 6, 3 for 5, 1 for 1 from three. They make 19 threes. That's 57 points. Cleveland shoots 9 of 38 from three. Okay? That means they were outscored by 30 points from three. How are you making that up? You're not. You're losing by 9 points on your home floor in game 1. Because the visitor came in and shot 52% from three and made 19 of them. Indiana can do that to you. There's a lot of things they can't do. Boston can do that to you on any given night. And Knicks have to guard against that in a big way. Defending the three is a huge part of what you have to do against the Celtics, so you have no chance. Now, game 1s, you can catch a team. And I think the Knicks tonight, having played a very tough, rugged series. Now, the Orlando series was not as easy as it looked. Right? They were never in doubt of losing the series, but they lost the game. And there was a lot of physical play and a lot of tough play and a lot of chippy play throughout the entire series. But they have defenders that the Knicks don't have. They have an ability to do things that the Knicks don't have the ability to do defensively right now. But the Knicks do have an ability with their wings defensively. That's their two big prime defenders, unless Robinson's on the floor. They have to utilize that. But they have to run, they have to turn the Celtics over, and they have to defend the three. And they have to get some meaningful minutes out of the bench, or it's just it all doesn't add up. It won't work. Do I think the Knicks can win this series? No, I don't think they'll win the series. I'm being as honest as I can be. I don't think they'll win the series. I think they have a very good chance to steal game 1. I think they'll clearly be the sharper team tonight. I would expect them to get off to a good start this evening and have a very good game 1. If they won game 1, I would not be surprised in the least. Boston's gonna have no trouble winning in Madison Square Garden, as you know. Detroit sure didn't either. And I'm torn between I'm figuring if the Knicks can get to a 6th game, then they can get to a 7th game, which to me, I would be very impressed by them if they got to a 7th game in this series. I don't wanna see them go down in 5 games in a series that doesn't have a whole lot of excitement. A lot of people think the Knicks just do not belong in this series, and you know what? It is not an unreasonable way for them to look at it. The Knicks have not been a great team since February 1st. Their overall numbers since then are not that good. Indiana's are better. Detroit's were better. They have apparent weaknesses. They don't have the bench. They don't have the matchups with the Celtics. They have vulnerable their 2 big offensive players are vulnerable in a very big way defensively. It adds up to a lot of issues, a lot of problems. I'm torn between 5 and 7. I figure if it gets to 6, the emotions of the Garden and somehow they can get themselves to will a 7th game. But if you say 7 games, you're really sounding like there's a lot of balance in the series, which there really isn't. I mean, the Celtics are superior in a lot of ways. Knicks are weak as far as defense. They're weak as far as rim protection goes. They're weak as far as the bench goes. They have a lot of issues. They have a lot of matchup issues with the Celtics. Somehow I feel like there's just gonna be more than 5 games in this series. So, I'm gonna say Celtics in 7, but I don't think it's a hard 7. You know what I mean? I don't think it's like the series is even. I think it's 7 where I'm leaning more towards it's like 7, but I don't think 5 would surprise me kinda series. It's kind of a soft 7 because I think they could win game 6 if they had it. Like, I don't wanna pick Knicks and Celtics in 6 because I think if there was a 6th game, I think the Knicks could win it. Do I think they win game 7 in Boston? I don't. Do I think it's more likely if they get beaten 5 than 7? Yes, I do. But I'll pick Knicks in 7. Celtics in 7. I don't think the Knicks will win the series. I think they're a decided underdog. They were a much bigger underdog than Indiana was against Cleveland. I think Cleveland had a much better year than the Celtics had. So it shows you that they think Indiana's a better team. And right now, Indiana might very well be a better team. Uh, like I said, I think if they are going to get full blast out of this series, they have got to make sure they incorporate Bridges and OG into the offense. Bridges, especially in the open floor, like you saw in game 6. And he has got to put some belief in the bench. He has got to. He can't get outscored 40-5 on the bench and win those games. It's not going to happen. And their bench is going to score. If you look at them in the playoffs, I mean, their bench, I guarantee you, if I go back and look at some of their games, okay, I guarantee you the bench scores in every game. In the last game of the playoffs, the bench scored 29, 32, 36, 39 points. The game before that for the Celtics, the bench scored. That was a very light game. The bench only scored 6 points that night because Pritchard, who usually scores, did not score in that game. He came out cold, and they didn't go back to him. And Cornette played 16 minutes but didn't score. Hauser scored 6, but Pritchard got 0. But that's a very unusual game for them because Pritchard's scoring average in the regular season was, I believe, 10 points a game this year. It was regular season was 14, and the playoffs have been in the playoffs he's averaging 10, and in the postseason, in the regular season, he averaged 14. 14 points. He became a big key this year. There's no question because he played a decent amount of minutes. He averaged 14 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists a game. Those very good numbers. And was one of the decorated guys off the bench. But with him and with Hauser, and now they go a little deeper because they have Holiday back. So you add another guy there. They are 9 quality deep. And that's a lot. It really is. That's a lot. They dealt with Holiday being out 3 games in that series. He didn't play. He's back. He says he's 100% with the hamstring. So, Holiday back in the lineup means instead of going 8, they go 9. And it gives them a lot of different ways to do things. It really does. And, they're going to get you go in just like that you're going to write down for the series 20 points a game from Towns, 30 points a game from Brunson. They're going to write down 20 points a game from Brown and 20 and 30 points a game from Tatum. You know that. It's the swing guys. It's what White does. It's what Porzingis does, especially against the Knicks. Porzingis. It's what White does. White can have 12 or he can have 35. He gets going from 3. He had one game in the Orlando series. He had 36 points. All right. It can be a different guy. It's going to be their big 2, just like it's going to be their big 2. The Knicks have 4 highly capable scorers. They have 4 guys who had 40 points in a game this year. There's no other team in the league did that. But they do not get the ball in OG's and Bridges' hands enough and keep them involved enough. There's too many times in the game where they get lost for 8 and 10 minutes at a time, and that cannot happen. They have got to be kept completely involved in the offense. It's critical. Otherwise, the scoring will not be efficient. This just can't be Brunson taking 35 shots. It will not work. And Knicks might play well offensively and still lose the series because they could be overwhelmed defensively. This is a very tough matchup. There's a reason why the Celtics didn't lose to the Knicks this year. There's a reason why the Knicks didn't beat any of the better teams in the league this year. We're as good. They didn't match up well against those teams. So do I think the Knicks win the series? I do not. Do I hope that they can win 2? Do I think they'll win 2 games in the series? I do. I do think they'll squeak. I think they have a very good chance to win tonight. And I think they can win 2 games in the series. I think they could maybe win 3 games in the series. And to me, that would be, there's no moral victories here for the Knicks, even though they're a decided underdog. But I don't think they're winning the series. I'm sorry. I'd love to think they were, but I don't think they are. And there's not too much of America that thinks they are either. Now, a couple things. Number one, won a great baseball day yesterday. Mets had a rare bad day. Obviously, having their chances and losing, two games to the Cardinals that it seems to me that every time the Mets lost, the Met fans are frustrated. But hey, what do you think? You're going to win every game? You're not winning every game. Your team's played well. Your team's done a nice job so far. Okay, I mean they've done a very nice job so far. They still have a 3-game lead, a couple of game lead over the Phillies. They're 22-13. They lost a double dip yesterday. They left 22 guys on base in the 2 games. They had plenty of opportunities. The kid brought back the home run over the center field fence for Soto. That's a home run in 22 parks in the major leagues. Hey, it happens. Good catch. Nice catch. It happens. That's what happens when you're not going great. They bring those balls back over the fence. They had their chances. They lose a double dip, 2 one-run games. This to me was more about the Yankees. I picked the Yankees as an under this year. Now, I'm talking about when they were 94.5, not when they wound up being 88.5. And obviously, they lost some key personnel. But you have to be concerned about where they are right now. They have gotten 2 all-world performances. Fried has been the best pitcher in baseball. The Yankees have won every start he has made. Judge has looked like he came down from a higher league. I mean, you can't even describe what he's done so far. A right-handed hitter batting 430. I mean, give me a break. But when you take those 2 performances and then in a great early performance from Grisham, and I waited for 2 years to get him into that leadoff spot. I've been wanting to do that for 2 years. Rice has come up, and I did not see Rice coming. I admit it. I did not think Rice would do that this year. I did think Grissom would be a big contributor. I did not think Rice would do this. I'm shocked by Rice. Now, Rice is in the lineup yesterday because they have Judge have a day DH, and there's nowhere to put him. Goldschmidt's done a good job so far. Very good job. And now with Chisholm on the bench and Volpe banged up, now you see what's weak. And I guess yesterday, and it's frustrating. And it's a long season, but it's frustrating. It's a rainy day yesterday, and you almost get the idea, and I know fans feel this way. Even though it's not true, I know they feel this way. What, are you not trying to win the game yesterday? What, only guys who can pitch yesterday are the guys who have a 5 ERA and a 1.5 whip? Or should I say for Matsuke, 3 whip? I mean, all 3 guys who come in the game yesterday, he leaves the starter in, and you're shaking your head. The guys he brings out of the pen, including Carrasco, you know what's coming then. And you knew the Yankees would tack on some runs in this game. And then I don't know why he didn't pitch hit there. Did I understand it? No. I know he was going to save Rice. I understand that. He was going to pinch hit him later, and it made sense. But I don't understand why he didn't pinch hit Wells for Escara. That double play killed them. It just made no sense. It really made no sense. I was busy, so I didn't listen to Boone yesterday afterwards. And what he said, I don't know. But it didn't make any sense. And obviously, when Carrasco comes in and gives us those runs, you figure out the game's over. And they gave it away. But this team, remember, getting an all-world performance out of Fried. Can't pitch better than he has. It's impossible. An all-world performance out of Judge. You cannot play better than he's played so far. He's hitting 421 or 423, whatever it is. And they are, when you take the Fried games out, they are 12-15 on the season. 12-15. And that's with a good start from Goldschmidt and a great start from Grisham and a great start from Rice. I mean, Grisham, who has made them play him, has got 8 home runs and has a 979 OPS. And you know he's their best defensive player in the outfield. And did I think Rice was gonna come up here and have 8 home runs and a 920 OPS? No. Now Dominguez, switch hitters usually are much better hitters from their natural side, which is the right side, because they're right-handed. He throws with his right arm. He is a natural right-hander. Also, almost every switch hitter is. And this guy hits from the left side, but doesn't hit it all from the right side. I mean, he doesn't hit in his career so far, he doesn't hit it all from the right side, which you had years to use Mantle or a big time switch hitter. Bernie Williams. Bernie Williams was lethal right-handed. Mantle had years where he hit 450 right-handed. He just didn't get the at-bats. Now, lefty, he hit a lot of home runs and he struck out a lot. Righty, he hit vicious line drives. He doesn't hit it all from the left side. This year, he is 3 for 38. Right, 3 for 36 right-handed, 19 for 61 left-handed with 2 homers and 8 RBIs. No home runs right-handed, 3 for 36. You go back to the first 2 years, he didn't hit it all right-handed. Very odd to be so bad from one side. Now, guys can struggle from the left side as they start to switch hit and sometimes have average problems from the left side, but they rarely have average problems from the right side. And they have just, they have distinct weaknesses. People get down on Volpe because he hasn't been what they thought he would be. And now Chisholm, he does this wrong and he does that wrong and he strikes out too much. He doesn't have those strike zone and this and that. Hey, the Yankees are top heavy with talent and they're not great. Now, do I think they'll figure out the bullpen and they'll get their closer back in the right spot and back doing what he's supposed to do? Yeah, I figure they will. And they always come up with arms in the bullpen, always. But they don't have enough starting pitching. They cannot overcome the loss of Cole. They cannot in any way overcome the loss of Heel. Even with Fried being so good, it's insane. That's how good he's been. But he's going to cool off. So is Judge. What happens when they do? If they have trouble keeping their head above 500 when these guys are playing like this, and when Goldschmidt's hitting 350, and Rice and Grisham have 900 plus OPSs, which aren't going to continue. Yankees got issues. They already need pitching. Listen, it's always about pitching. And the world has changed because unless you're dealing with a Fried or one of the premier starters, of which you can count on 2 hands, these starters have become 5-inning guys. And they're virtually interchangeable. Give me 5. Oh, you gave up 2 runs, 5, goodbye. And then to your setup men, and then into the closer. That's the recipe. That's how it's done. We all know it. Everybody does it the same way. And that's why a team like the Mets wisely does not put a lot of value in or a lot of their gold into starting pitching. But you have to have somebody who doesn't get blown up in the first couple innings like Warren does. They don't have much you can count on right now behind the 2 lefties. And they have a lot of issues in the lineup. And the problem is they got too many guys where those guys can't cover They want their bats in the lineup, but they can't cover the right positions. If you need to give Judge a day off and he's the DH, Rice isn't playing. Unless you're taking Goldsmith out of the lineup. Taking Goldsmith out of the lineup, well, go ahead. Then you hurt yourself anyway. If you don't have Rice or Goldsmith in the lineup right now, and you don't have Grisham in the lineup right now, you're hurting. Well, to get Rice in the lineup, you got to DH him, so you got to make sure you put Rice in the outfield. You got to give him his days off, though. Bellinger hasn't been good. He'll be okay. I don't think he'll be great, but he'll be okay. Wells will be okay. I never thought Wells was going to be amazing anyway, but you know what? He's catching. What you get out of him is solid. He'll be okay. Chisholm has gotten crazy on the home runs, and they have to do something about it because when he's talking about hitting a ton of home runs, you know what's going to come from that. Take the home runs as they come. Don't start trying to hit home runs. Yankees have issues. They're going to need a pitching boost. They're not a great club. They're lucky they're in a league that just isn't very good. Let's be honest. The Orioles can't find, their way. If you painted it for them, they couldn't find it. And nobody has raised their hand in the division. Nobody behind the Yankees. And if you look at the rest of the league, are the Tigers a threat? Yeah, they are. They're going to get better and better. And if they ever add the right bat, it could be really dangerous. It could be really dangerous. I don't think anybody else in the American League is going to be that dangerous. They could be dangerous. But the American League is easy compared to the National League. You'll see that. You got the Dodgers, who everyone knows the best team in baseball, but you got the Padres, who you'll see at Yankee Stadium this evening. They're a really good team. I picked against the Padres this year because I thought the owner was going to keep dismantling the team. I still think he might. That's why I picked against him in the number. It was a high number, and I thought he was going to keep dismantling the team. And it's never been a happy ship to begin with. But they're playing well, as are the Giants. I mean, they all feast, obviously, on the Rockies, who I did not realize were going to do anything like this. I mean, if you've probably noticed, maybe you haven't. I mean, the Rockies have won 6 games. 6 games. I mean, even the White Sox have won 10. Rockies have won 6 games. Their winning percentage is 17%. So the rest of the division is going to feast on them. And that's why if you look out there, I mean, the Mets are good. The Phillies are good. Atlanta's now only 3 under 500, and you know they're going to come. Chicago Cubs are really good. Cincinnati's improved, and their manager's Francona. Milwaukee knows its way around winning baseball. And you have the Dodgers, and you have the Padres, and you have the Giants. And the worst record of the 3 is 22-13. National League is loaded. The Yankees are lucky they're in the American League right now. All right. Will I take a bow on the Derby? Yeah, I guess so. I've had a lot of luck, a lot of good fortune in the Derby in my life. Saturday was more of the same. I was surprised that I wasn't surprised that Sovereignty won. I knew he was training brilliantly. I thought he was a classic Derby, candidate. He was going to like the off track because of his breeding. I just wondered whether or not he could get a clean trip, and give Junior credit because he got him for the most part a clean trip in a race where there were not a lot of clean trips. As a matter of fact, Baffert's horse from the rail, Citizen Bull, almost wiped out 5 horses at the start and moved everybody over. And there wasn't one horse in this race that didn't collide with another horse. Not one. Even the winner almost clipped heels out of the gate. and I know something about what can happen there because Junior was on our Derby candidate in the Fountain of Youth, and we had one of the best 2-year-olds in the country. He won the Saratoga Special by 5 lengths over 2 horses that became Horse of the Year candidates in the future, and was one of the favorites for the Derby when he got to the Fountain of Youth. And he's never been the same because he clipped heels and did a somersault and almost broke his neck. And he's never won another race. He won his first 2 races. The second was the Saratoga Special. Obviously, I'm talking about High Oak. Second race, he won the Saratoga Special, which is one of the big 2-year-old races in the world, and won it by 5 lengths over horses that became champions. We went to the Fountain of Youth to start our 3-year-old year, and he was out a year after that. He was just about coming through a hole. I'm telling you, he was going to win going away. And he was cut off and he clipped heels, and the rest is history. So he kept him clean. He got to follow the 8. The 8 did not get the 8 Journalism, was a legitimately good horse, did not get the trip he wanted. He was too far back early, but he did get clear. He made a huge move, and Sovereignty followed his move, then kicked outside him and beat him in the stretch. Baeza, who I told you, if Sheriffs was bringing that horse to the Derby, he meant business. I told you all to use Baeza in the exotics. I hope you did. He brought back what was not a bad triple. It was okay. $231 for $1. So $460 for $2. Not bad. $460 for $2. The superfecta was $1,632 for $1. That was with the 3 who got a nightmarish trip. There are so many trips in this race. Burnham Square got completely shut off. Sandman got shut off. Tistastic got completely stopped. There were so many. Baeza got a nightmare trip and still was coming in. Almost got second. I wish he would have, because he would have created some really good prices if he had finished second. And I liked him a lot for second and third anyway. So I would have been happier if the 8 had finished third versus second. They can't have everything. Because the exacta came back 48 with the 8 second. I was shocked that Sovereignty was 8-1. I thought he'd be more like 4-1. He's a legitimately good classic horse from a place that, Godolphin has the best horses in the world. They're the best racing outfit in the world. He obviously is on his way to the Preakness. Most of these guys don't want to race a horse 2 weeks later. That's why the Derby's so different, because normal time is you're taking 6 to 8 weeks between races for these horses. That's usually the case once they get through the Belmont. Now, Baeza is going to go to the Belmont and wait. Sandman's going to the Belmont and waiting. I don't know yet. We haven't heard what Journalism is not going to the Preakness, but we don't know what his future is yet. He could be at the Belmont. I would kind of think he will be, but I don't know for sure what their plan is with Journalism yet. Baeza will be in the Belmont. Sandman will be in the Belmont. There'll be new shooters in the Preakness. Rodriguez, who he scratched Baffert, and I thought was the better of his 2 horses anyway, who won the Wood Memorial, will be in the Preakness and will be very dangerous in the Preakness. I don't know if the Rapoli horse Grandi is going to be ready because he has a quarter crack. I don't know if he's going to be ready or not. We'll know more in the next couple of days. Pletcher has another horse. Asmussen has another horse. Cox has another horse. They're all been prepped for the Preakness. Chad Brown has another one for the Preakness. So you got at least 4 new shooters, probably 6 new shooters. I think there's going to be 6 shooters who bear watching in the Preakness. And then I would expect more horses from the Derby to go to the Preakness than normal, because there were so many trips. so many trouble lines where this race was a throwout for horses. So I think some of the speed, I wouldn't be surprised if Lucas shows up with his horse, and he usually dances every dance. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the Preakness. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if the Owen Almighty's not going to the Preakness. I would think you'll get maybe 3 out of the Derby, including the winner, and then you'll get the others, a handful of the others like Baeza and Sandman, waiting at the Belmont and training in Saratoga, and it's right now 12 days to the Preakness, and then it's 3 weeks after that to the Belmont. So you almost have 5 weeks right now to the Belmont, which will be in Saratoga at 1.25 miles, which makes it a more conducive race because guys don't like to race 1.5 miles anyway, because they never race 1.5 miles again in their lives. So Sovereignty deserves and will be a very solid favorite in race 2. He deserves that. Now remember, he's always going to need a setup. He is a deep closer. He can't win. He's not going to beat horses if they let a speed horse get away by himself. That day, he's probably not going to catch that horse. That's the one thing a deep closer needs. He needs a setup. He needs there to be speed in the race. There was speed in the race on Saturday. There's always speed in the Derby. That's one thing you can count on. There's 19 horses, and there's some horses that are always going to go for the top. I would think we'll get a fair pace from what I can see in the Preakness, but you don't know for sure. And a lone speed will always scare a horse like Sovereignty because he is a deep closer. He's always coming from pretty far back. That's who he is. And that makes that horse a little more susceptible than some of the others. Like Secretariat didn't worry about that. If he wanted to go to the front, he went to the front. Remember, in the Preakness, he went to the front. In the Belmont, he went to the front. In the Derby, he came from behind. He could do anything. Okay, there's nothing that horse couldn't do. Run on the grass, run on dirt, run on anything. He could run on pavement. He could run on anything. It didn't make any difference. He could just run. But Sovereignty, if he gets a legitimate pace, will be a very legitimate. I give him about a 60% chance to win the Preakness and go to the Belmont, and it'll be a lot of fun if he goes there looking for a Triple Crown. So congratulations to Belmont and to Junior Alvarado, who obviously are two guys who I've worked with many times because they have ridden. They are the primary jockey and they are the trainer of our horses. So I know them both very well. So congratulations to both of them. Belmont didn't need a Derby to accentuate his career. He's already had a brilliant Hall of Fame career, but you know what? A Derby doesn't hurt. Another Derby doesn't hurt. That's for sure. He had won one on disqualification. Now he wins one the old-fashioned way. And I'm sure it's very sweet because Godolphin, which had won every race in the world and also won the Oaks on Saturday and won a big race in Britain and has won races all over the world with the best racing stock in the world, had never won the Derby before. So now they have a Derby to go with it. And we were fortunate enough to give you the exacta. And if you listened to what I told you to do, you would have had Baeza third also. And you might even have had the 3 and Baeza on a superfecta ticket because I gave you both of them. So I did. I don't usually bet triples or superfectas, but I bet them in the Derby because I usually think you get a great price. The prices were okay. They weren't great, but you're never going to quibble about a $231 triple for $1 and a $1,632 Preakness. I mean, a superfecta for $1. I didn't do the 5. I've never done the 5 because I figure it's hard enough to hit 4 rather than 5. I would never have had the 20. Never. He was a throwout for me. I would never have had him finish in 5th ever. Not a chance in the world would I've had him. So I wouldn't have had him on any tickets. I would never had a chance for the 5. But I was lucky enough to hit the 4 and hit the triple. But like I said, the triple was $231. Wasn't anything crazy, Usually the prices are bigger, but if you had gotten Baeza in the second spot, you would have had a $150 exacta, and you would have had a $600 triple or $700 triple. That's how much difference it makes with the favorite out of the second slot. But journalism, he just held off Baeza. Baeza ran a incredibly good race. Got into trouble, had to come 9 wide, and was still flying at the end. He ran a brilliant race. He is a legitimately good horse. I think the top 3 are all legitimately good horses. I know that journalism jockey still said our horse is better. Hey, hopefully he gets a chance on a dry track to prove that. Hopefully come back and run again. Now he'll take the advantage of the rest and be waiting as a rested horse at the Belmont if he's going to race there. I sure hope he does. I'd like to see them race again. And I wish he was at the Preakness in 2 weeks because it would make it more exciting. I love when they come back and race against each other. I think it's great. I would hope a bunch of the horses do. I was hoping Baeza would, but he already said, Sheriffs, that he would wait till the Belmont. And so did Sandman's Connections say they were going to the Belmont. And like I said, I would think journalism would, but I haven't heard anything from the journalism camp. They were going back to California. I don't know. I think they were very disappointed. But hey, they knew. You heard McCarthy say, I had my eye on Sovereignty all week. He was training brilliantly. I thought he was the horse to beat. He was better than us on Saturday. And I thought he was the horse to beat the whole time. So he picked the right horse that he had to worry about, and he wound up winning it. So I hope you all out there got a bet in on him because he was very generous odds. 796, now they use the digital. 796, almost 8-1. That's a good price for that horse. Very good price for that horse. Really is. That is a really very good price for that horse. Almost $18. That's a really sweet win price for him. And he did a great job. So I hope you all got a piece of that if you were wagering on the race, and a piece of the exacta, which came back 48.20, and the triple, which came back $231 for $1. So I hope you all had a piece of that, and we'll try and do it again. Hey, don't think this is going to happen every year. I've hit a couple in a row here now. In the last year, I hit the Derby with a $31 winner, and I hit the Preakness, and then I lost the Belmont. I'll try to see if I can do better this time and hit the Preakness and the Belmont. But let's see who's competing, and let's see what happens. Okay, but I think Sovereignty would run very well. But again, he needs a speed setup. If there was a lone speed in there, if Rodriguez was a lone speed, I would be very concerned because there's a very good chance he could wire the field, especially at the Preakness. So there needs to be some speed in the race, and we'll see how that unfolds in the next. We'll know by the weekend who's running and who's not. Get ready for the Knicks and Celtics. We'll be on tonight after the game with our analysis of game number 1. So enjoy. We'll see you later.